One thing that I do want us to always, I want to always point on this podcast is that the discussions that we
Not
have
the ho-ho-hos.
are not to attack anyone's beliefs or lack of beliefs or whatever they follow. Everyone's entitled to believe what they want to, and I believe it. People deserve respect, whether you believe in God or not. And I think that's very, very important for us, especially now in the time that we live in, to respect people who have certain beliefs.
Well, the book that Yulia mentioned, the Conversations with God, first dialogue book, I'm going to look that up.
Me too.
I'm just curious.
Just read it together.
Yeah, I'm actually curious about it. She said it's a short book. So and then there's a couple other ones, because I know, when you guys are talking about God, are you necessarily referring to Catholicism or Christian? You're just referring to that higher
absolute
power.
God. No.
Some religions have more than
What do you
one
mean
God.
absolute God?
So even in Catholicism, the absolute God is God.
No, but I mean, what about Buddhism? I mean, there's no such thing as Buddhism because God exists?
No. So,
that's what I'm confused about.
No, so if you look at even Christianity believes that Jesus is God's son,
Yes.
but God is still God.
Okay. But what about different types of religion, like Buddhism?
So it depends on the religion.
They believe in other gods. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have
that's what I
different
mean. That's
kinds
what
of
I'm curious
gods.
No,
about.
they don't. I don't think Buddhisms believe in other gods.
Hindu
Hinduism
people
does.
No,
do.
Hinduism.
It's
Not
not Buddhism.
Buddhism. Not Buddhism. Yeah,
No,
but
like
other
Sikhs, they believe in
Yeah.
God.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
So there's different
Stoicism.
So
kinds.
no, it's still one absolute God.
That's
Every
what
religion
you mean.
says that, though.
But when it comes to Hinduism, they have multiple gods.
Exactly. Not every religion believes in one.
So this is where I want to do more of my research and my knowledge, because this is where I am ignorant to that part of the religion side, right? Because when I'm hearing you say God, I'm picturing that same picture that you see on your grandmother's wall with the guy with the halo. Cause that's what the image of him sitting there getting worshipped by by angels. That's the
Deviled
image.
eggs.
That's the image I'm projecting in my head.
That again proves my point earlier about because of our limited capacity, we automatically think through the eyes of a human because we're human.
Correct.
So we give God human attributes. He's a man. And he's like Santa Claus, right? Like with long hair and a beard. He's very holy. He has a white beard and whatever.
Give him a face
right?
and
even when it comes to people who depict Jesus, which is to me is just so ridiculous. They think he's blonde, blue-eyed. Jesus was an Arab.
Yeah,
he was
not
dark
brown.
skin.
yeah.
He was brown. He was an Arab.
And
He
his
was- he-
hair was like afro
Or black or
material.
dark. But he definitely wasn't blonde with green eyes. But that's
It's
what
this commercialized projected image of him. So that's where I'm saying I need to do more. It's not that I'm saying I don't believe in him. I'm just saying I'm going to do my own research. I'm gonna be a little curious about what's behind each door before I make an informed decision.
Yeah, but once the whole point here is that once you do the research and points have been proven by your own research to yourself, that is when the test begins. Am I now going to follow that path? Or am I going to continue being, fuck it. Even though I know that, that is right, I'm still going to choose not to. That was my whole point from the beginning.
Well, it's weird that you say that because I actually did have one kind of godly experience. And when I was a child and youth worker at a church, believe it or not, and the priests and pastors would ask the same thing, do you believe in God? And I would say the same thing. I'm like, no, I don't know. But I'm kind of opening myself to it. And one priest said something to me and it lingered with me. And he said, once you open your heart up to God, he'll test your faith right away. He'll test your faith. And shortly after it was when I lost my friend to gun violence. And when I went, not my friend to gun violence, sorry, that's when I lost my mom. And when I went back to my placement, the priest looked at me and he said, do you still believe in God? And that right there, and that's where I kind of was like, okay, I could see the mystery, I could see the mystery, the in between the lines of it all. So yes, I do kind of see that. But again, I think not having that discipline of going to church every Sunday,
You can still develop that yourself. The thing you just said right now, which is really interesting, is if you ask God for patience, he's going to now test you with it. And most of us fucking fail. If you ask God for help, so let's say it's a woman that's here and she's from a war-torn country. She's here as a refugee. Okay, she's got 2 kids. Her husband died, and she prays to God. And she needs financial help, right? Or she doesn't have a job. You think God's just going to, the next day she's going to open up her bank account, she has $1 million? What God's going to do is use another individual as a vessel to answer her prayer. So if you ask God, I'm lost, I need help. I'm broke. I'm financially messed up. I have no life. To know if he answered your prayer is to see what stuff he brought to your door. If you ask God for patience, he's going to test you now immediately after, and you're going to fail. If you ask God, I want my relationship to be strong with my mother, he's going to give you an opportunity where you're going to talk to your mom, and it's now in your hands to make it stronger or not. If you ask God, I need direction, I need help, it's not as if that God's going to go, okay, here you go. You wanted that? Okay, you get this. You're not getting it, and you're not getting it. It's a master plan. It's this web of what we can never comprehend or ever understand because we don't have the brain capacity. I have the brain capacity of putting this podcast together. I did it. But do I have the brain capacity to be able to answer every single person's prayers and desires and wants and needs? There's a magic there that we don't understand. Whereas innocent children are getting killed in one part of the world, where you've got fucking kids who live in Hollywood and Beverly Hills who are living like, they never even experienced a problem their entire life. And you think it's unfair. No, there's a master plan behind it. So if you want to prove to yourself if God exists, ask him for something and see what that manifests into. And then when he gives it to you and you fucking reject it, well, then that's on you. So if you ask
like
God
that.
for help and then all of a sudden God opens that door and then you just stand and go, I don't want to walk through that door. Well, you asked for help. And now you're not going to accept what he offered to you. You're too good for it or whatever it may be, or you choose not to anymore. Well, that's your fucking problem, right? So the hardest quality to have as a human being is patience. It's the toughest thing to acquire. Patience. All of us lack it. All of us do. That is the hardest attribute to acquire. And people pray for it all the time. They want to have patience. If you have patience, nothing will get to you. Nothing. Stress, nothing will bother you. Financial problems, boyfriend problems, job problems, health problems, because you have patience. It's the hardest thing to get. But if you pray for patience, guess what? He'll test you right away because every day you're tested with that. And now, if you accept those tests, you might falter, but you'll ask him again. Now you're getting closer with him, and he's going to give you the patience that you're seeking. And when you put everything, all of your faith, all of the faith that you have in you, like if you put faith in a guy, he's going to let you down. One time or another, he will, not always, but he is. But if you put all your faith in God, he's never going to let you down, disappoint you. You might be the best friend possible to someone that you know, and then they stab you in the back. But if God's your best friend, he's always there for you. He'll never let you down. So once you have that core belief, that's where your strength comes from. And again, from being grounded. I don't care whether you believe a cow is God or you believe, Zanu, whoever is God. Once you have that core belief, it grounds you and gives you strength. And that will help you throughout your life. If you lack that, what is your go-to? When you're going through a tough time in life, what's your go-to? Your mother all the time? What if your mother's not there anymore? What's your go-to? Marijuana? LeBron James, the Kardashians, what's your go-to? Because sometimes you're not even going to be strong enough to go to yourself. Because if you were, you would never have problems. But if you have a go-to and that go-to is always when you have full faith in it, I would much rather have that than have nothing. Even if my faith is all bullshit fairy tale stuff, like you said about fables, whatever, I would much rather have that as a go-to that gives me my inner strength. So that when I'm going through a tough time, I have faith in that. And even though it's me who pulled myself through, but I do believe that, I'd rather have that than have nothing.
It's almost
My
like your
go-to
armor.
is myself, though. Like I've literally been to the deepest of the doubts within myself, where very depressive thoughts come to mind, and I've been able, without praying, to pull myself out there because I know how to actually sit down and calm myself down in those moments.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pray to God for him to help you. God will help you whether you pray. He doesn't care. God doesn't need us to pray to him.
Mm.
So whether you pray to him or not, he still loves you. You're his creation.
But how do you know that that's God that's helping then?
Well, who else is it?
It'd just be me.
No, but who else is the one who's, again, this is if you believe in God or you don't, right? So at the end of the day, if you do believe in a higher power, then that higher power is supreme. It means it has power over everything. So that means everything that happens, he controls it. And once you submit yourself completely in all humility to God and realize everything is in his power, whether it's good or bad. So if I lost my mother, like my mom died when I was 8. If I want to be, I could be fucking cynical. I've got friends of mine that I grew up with whose mom died when they were younger. they were into drugs, they were in jail, whatever. I went through a lot of shit as well too. But if I sit back and say, well, if God loved me, well, why the fuck would he do this to me? And if God loves this person, why would he put them through whatever they're going through? These are all tests. Doesn't mean he doesn't love you. He's not with you. You either believe, and there'll be times where you're going to doubt him, but I don't feel that you're going to get, in my opinion, that inner strength anywhere else unless you have a core belief in something.
Yeah, even if that's just the universe.
Yeah.
It's so healthy. Like, honestly, I started meditating maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I had a really prolific, like, realization. I accidentally took shrooms. I didn't really know what they were. And I realized, I was like, I don't treat people like human beings, and I don't treat myself like one. I was so aware of my spirit. Even though I had been practicing faith my whole life, it really clicked in, why do I practice this? And I also saw it in other ways, and I explored my faith for a little bit. And one thing that I still do, and I don't know if this is like going against myself or being a hypocrite, but I still meditate too. I think that it's really healthy to do that. I think that everybody should do that, whether you have a religion or not. Like, and that's probably what you were doing yourself when you were consoling yourself during your times, even if you didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah, meditating is another form of grounding yourself, right? Coming back to reality, reflecting on your
100%.
day, on what happened, why did it happen, and how can I make it better?
Yeah.
Right? So it's just being grounded, really. So